When Fantasies Undermine the Faith, a call to uphold the credibility of the Israelite awakening. Date: June 14th, Sivan 19th, 2025. By Officer C.D. Ford, Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Peace to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, and to every soul seeking truth in a world teeming with deception. I give all honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. In this season of awakening, when the dry bones are coming to life, Ezekiel 37, we must guard the integrity of our testimony with the same zeal that we guard our commandments. Among the many signs of the times, a new wave of narratives has emerged, some rooted in curiosity, others in confusion. Chief among them is the claim that the United States of America is the true biblical Egypt, or even the land of Israel, and that Black Americans are the original inhabitants of this land. While the God of Israel encourages us to seek knowledge, we are warned to avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. 1 Timothy 6:20. I started researching these claims and quickly realized that it would take hundreds of quality hours that I do not have. Then it dawned on me, these precious hours would be stolen from time better spent studying the truth and pursuing viable, biblically sound historical subjects, especially the ones I am already working on. It would become a distraction, a sidetrack, and perhaps even a stumbling block. And what's most ironic and heartbreaking is this. It is often Black people, our own community members, and even some leaders who are promoting these theories. In doing so, they deepen the already painful divisions among the descendants of the children of slavery. The Israelite awakening, rooted in covenant, not conspiracy. Over the last 4 decades, the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, under the leadership of Elder Shadrock Porter, has reclaimed and retaught the lost heritage of the true biblical Israelites. Our journey has not been one of theatrics or spectacle, but of diligent study, revelation, and the return to covenant. We have traveled through the scriptures, from Genesis to Revelation, and through history, from Israel to Africa to the Americas, to uncover the truth that has been buried under centuries of lies. Elder Shadrock Porter has often reminded us, with outstanding clarity and wisdom, that our spiritual inheritance is not something to be fantasized or theorized. It is something to be lived and proven by the fruit of our obedience to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the God of Israel. In his groundbreaking works, such as The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible, Elder Shadrock painstakingly outlines the spiritual, historical, and prophetic foundation of the Israelite identity. America as Egypt, symbolism versus literalism. To be clear, America can be likened to Egypt symbolically. It is a land of bondage, as the children of the transatlantic slave trade were held in captivity here. The God of Israel himself said of Israel, "I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage." Deuteronomy 5:6. This pattern has been repeated in various nations, including modern-day America. However, symbolic parallels must not be confused with literal geography. Egypt is a real place with a real river called the Nile. Israel is a real place with real mountains, valleys, and borders given by the God of Israel. To relocate these lands onto the American continent without a biblical or archaeological foundation is to rewrite scripture. It is not only dangerous, it is dishonest. Weakening the credibility of the awakening. The Israelite awakening is a movement founded on truth, but when truth is mixed with fiction, the result is confusion. Confusion, as we know, is not of the God of Israel, 1 Corinthians 14:33. When we promote unverified theories, such as the notion that the Mississippi River is the Nile or that the Grand Canyon is the Red Sea, we make ourselves vulnerable to mockery and dismissal. We do the work of the adversary by undermining our own credibility. We give skeptics, historians, and theologians the ammunition they need to lump the legitimate Israelite movement in with fringe conspiracy theories. Instead of being seen as the sons and daughters of Zion returning to our inheritance, we risk being viewed as just another confused religious cult. This confusion grieves the spirit, not only because it insults our intelligence, but because it dilutes the sanctity of the message we carry. We are ambassadors of the God of Israel, not storytellers chasing trending myths. A dangerous diversion. When we abandon the discipline of scriptural study for sensational theories, we derail the process of spiritual restoration. Our focus should be on repentance, righteousness, and nation building. The God of Israel did not wake us up to entertain fantasies about being Native Americans or pyramid builders in Arizona. He woke us up so that we could return to him with our whole heart and keep his laws in a strange land, Jeremiah 29:14. And while it may be true that there were black people in the Americas before Columbus, a notion coined by Ivan van Sertima, who argued in They Came Before Columbus that African voyagers reached the Americas centuries before European explorers. This alone does not substantiate the claim that the biblical Jerusalem was ever in Utah. To claim so is to rob ourselves of our true legacy, which flows from the ancient land of Israel through the ports of West Africa, into the bellies of slave ships and onto the shores of Jamaica, Brazil, Carolina, and Canada, and so on and so forth. Honor the blood, not erase it. The transatlantic slave trade is not just a historical event, it is prophecy fulfilled. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Deuteronomy 28:68. To deny this history, or to suggest it is somehow secondary to a new theory of American indigeneity, is to dishonor the blood of our foreparents. This awakening came at a high cost. Millions of our foreparents suffered, bled, and died for us to rediscover our identity. Let us not repay them with fables. Let us honor them by walking in truth, as written in the King James Version Bible and preserved through the righteous teachings of our elders. Elder Shadrock's warning: truth requires accountability. The Israelite Nation. Worldwide Ministries has spent over 40 years faithfully building a spiritual house on solid rock. Through trials, sacrifices, and unwavering conviction, we have labored to restore what was lost, to bring the true name of Israel back into the mouths of those who had forgotten it. Now, as the world begins to recognize who we are, there are spiritual forces and opportunists who seek to undo it all. This is not new. The enemy has always sought to blot out the name of Israel, to turn it into a proverb, myth, a byword, a joke among the nations. Psalm 83:4. What better way to accomplish this than by injecting division, confusion, and fantastical falsehoods into our ranks? What better way than to seduce our people away from sound doctrine with viral lies disguised as truth? Elder Shadrock has never been silent when it comes to defending the truth. He has warned us repeatedly against those who enter this awakening with ulterior motives, those who want the Israelite name without the Israelite obedience. In one of his lectures, he stated, "This truth is not for sale, and it certainly isn't for spectacle. If you're not prepared to live it, you will be exposed by it." This is where many fall. They are enchanted by the idea of being chosen, but repelled by the responsibility it brings. So, they look for alternative stories, easier paths, that allow them to keep the prestige of the title without the price of the walk. However, being an Israelite is not an identity you claim, it is a covenant you keep. False narratives, especially those claiming that biblical lands are located in America, work like spiritual termites, silently hollowing out the structure we have fought to rebuild. All that we have done, every lesson taught, every scroll opened, every soul restored, can be undone in the minds of the gullible if we allow these lies to take root. we must remain vigilant. Upholding integrity in the age of misinformation. We live in a time where YouTube videos and TikTok clips can sway entire belief systems. A well-produced, emotionally charged video claiming that America is Jerusalem can seem more compelling than a 5-hour lesson on Deuteronomy. But truth is not measured by likes or shares. It is measured by light and fruit. The question we must ask ourselves is, are we building the house of Israel? Or are we building platforms for ourselves based on make-believe? We cannot afford to see this work chipped away by winds of doctrine, Ephesians 4:14. We must continue our elders' work, stay grounded in the KJV Bible, and reject every lie that seeks to drag us backwards into darkness. Exposing the absurdities, truth versus folklore. Let us be clear, many of these modern myths collapse under even modest scrutiny. The idea that the Mississippi River is the Nile disregards geography, climate, and known history. The Nile flows north through eastern Africa into the Mediterranean Sea and is one of the most documented rivers on Earth. To compare it with the Mississippi, an entirely different river system thousands of miles across the Atlantic, is not only misleading but absurd. Likewise, the claim that the Grand Canyon is the Red Sea is a staggering dismissal of physical and scriptural evidence. The Red Sea was divided by the hand of the God of Israel, not by natural erosion, and sits between Egypt and the Arabian Peninsula, not in Arizona. Even more fanciful is the notion that biblical figures like King David or the prophet Moses once walked the lands of Utah or Ohio. These are not harmless errors. They are fictions that lead people astray and reduce sacred history to American folklore. What's at stake? A warning for the future. If these lies go unchallenged, the consequences will be grave. Future generations may inherit an identity that is emotionally appealing but spiritually void. The awakening will become a brand, a costume, a soundbite, no longer a covenant. We must sound the alarm. If we do not defend the truth, the next generation will not know how to recognize it. Scriptural warnings against false doctrines. This moment in time is not new to the God of Israel. The scriptures have warned us. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. 2 Timothy 4:3-4. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Matthew 24:24. These warnings are real, and we are living in those days. True revelation rooted in covenant and obedience. Let us remind ourselves, true revelation comes from the God of Israel, not from trending hashtags, seductive thumbnails, or algorithm-driven clout. It comes through prayer, study, obedience, and wise counsel. It comes through the structure preserved by leaders like Elder Shadrock Porter, not through self-appointed interpreters with no accountability. Revelation is always aligned with the law and the prophets. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Isaiah 8:20. A call to action, guard the gates. We are not passive observers, we are builders, guardians, and torchbearers. Reject the noise, speak the truth, guard the gates of Israel with vigilance. Let us fortify our minds, educate our children, and challenge every lie that seeks to sit in the seat of Zion uninvited. The war is on our history, it is on our destiny. Let it be known that in this generation, the house of Israel did not bow to confusion. Conclusion. Back to the book. The path forward is simple. though not always easy. We must return to the book, the King James Version Bible, and let it interpret itself. We must consult our elders, not just our algorithms. We must preserve the credibility of this awakening so that generations after us can inherit a clean and unshakable truth. Let us be like the noble Bereans who searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. Acts 17:11. Let us honor the labor of Elder Shadrock Porter and all those who have preserved this knowledge through fire and flood. Let us not be carried away by myths when we have the most incredible truth ever told at our fingertips. This awakening is too precious to be tainted by fantasy, and our God is too holy to be misrepresented. Let truth remain our banner. Let obedience be our proof. Let the house of Israel stand unshaken. Peace.